I've got a lot of favorite memories with my dad. One of the talks that we had, more like a father and son type talk. I used to have a lot of those with my dad growing up at different stages of my life. But one of the ones that I remembered was where he approached me the day of my wedding, and he actually gave me advice about being a good husband, a good provider, being able to support my family if I decided to have a family, and just being a responsible parent, responsible husband. That was one of the talks that I enjoyed quite a bit.
You know what? My dad was a jack of all trades. He could build you a house. He could fix your car. He could do your plumbing. He was a teamster. He was a truck driver. He was also a friend and a helper to his friends, the people that in the union. He would help them, guide them. He wore a lot of hats. But the one I know he liked the most too was baseball and coaching baseball, coaching my brothers in their baseball. I know the love of baseball. He shared with us and made us love baseball.
My dad was a good teacher, and we listened, at least most of the time. We're all responsible, we're all hardworking and honest people who are devoted to our families. We're all willing to sacrifice for our families and do the difficult. No matter how much work we have, no matter how tired we are, we just do what we need to do out of care and out of love for our families. Again, my dad was a good teacher.
Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which are about to receive from thy mouth. Through Christ our Lord.
My brother Jerry and I were just talking about a funny memory we had. He would take us fishing, and my brother and I were fishing at this creek, and we saw a fish that we were going to catch. So my brother and I kept throwing our fishing lines in, and sure enough, afterwards it was just a fishing line of just a tumbleweed of fishing line. So my dad looked over and he just shrugged his shoulders, put his fishing pole down, and came over and started to untwine the tumbleweed of fishing wire, fishing line. And he sat there patiently, didn't tell us anything, then just patiently got it all undone, and we went back to fishing. But that was funny. We were like, oh my God, look what we did. But he never lost his temper. He just sat there patiently taking the fishing twine all apart so we can go back to fishing.
Kids nowadays, even growing up, kids always look up to professional athletes, actresses, actors, things like that. I never did. I always looked up to my dad. I tried to be just like him. Played baseball, I played baseball. He joined the service, I joined the service. He came out of the service and drove a truck, I came out of the service and drove a truck. So, and he was a great family man. He just the most important thing that he instilled in me is when I leave this earth, that I hope people say he was a good man. So my dad was a good man.
We were at Hollow Lake one time, Barb and I and Mom. We were in the gray truck and we were up in the bridges, and we got kind of turned around and stuff. So there was 2 or 3 Indian women drinking Budweiser, looking kind of rough, had tailgate down. And I stopped and I rolled down the window, and I asked, hey, can you fish here? And one of the gals came up and said, would you like me to catch you one? And my dad had always remembered that. Hey, Jerry, remember? And my wife now, she's saying, they're flirting with you, they're flirting with you. And of course, we had them scrunched up in the back because it was, just a single seat. And it's funny because my dad would always get a kick out of that. That just made him laugh. There's tons of memories, but that was one that he'd make him laugh.
In the early days in college, my brothers and I were watching the movie Porky's, but he sat there and watched it. And I tell you what, I've never heard my dad crack up as much as he did when he was watching that movie Porky's, you know, and it was just great to just see him have such a good time, you know, genuinely good time, you know. It was unforgettable. I tell you what, hearing my dad laugh.
We're gonna have to pay him for the bigger one.
Yeah, I remember, and I was so glad.
That rabble rouser.
He was
Yeah,
working out
the
of
hooligan.
Yeah.
Oh, they always put the smallest guy on the biggest.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
everything.
Happy birthday. Love you.
Love you too, sweetheart.
And every Saturday, my kids and my family knew, and they were gonna go have coffee with Tata. Anybody can come if they want, you know, if you guys wanna come, we're gonna go, but yeah, just Saturday morning coffee, hanging out, talking service talk, talking guy talk.
He impacted me by how he worked and how he took care of his family. He was a role model of what you do to take care of your family. I'm speaking for the in-laws now. We always kind of joked around about who was number one in the in-law line and who messed up and would drop down in the totem pole, just amongst ourselves in a joking manner. But you knew with him, he didn't see sons and daughters and in-laws, he saw family. And once you were in that circle of family, that's what you were. So his example was, how do you raise your family? How do you treat your family? How to be, you know, the male role model of a family.
For me, his legacy is that insight, that information that he gave me. You know what, man? I had the same talks with my kids, the same exact words, the same exact talks, and at the exactly at the same time too. I talked to my son before his wedding, and just so my dad, you know, left me with a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge, which I passed on to my kids. So I thank him for that.
You know, there's so many memories of my dad, probably, but the one that stands out the most right now would be me asking him to be my best man at my wedding. It's a special moment for me.
He was a Cardinals fan. I give him Giants shirts, San Francisco Giants shirts. He was a Cardinals fan. I gave him Minnesota Vikings shirts and stuff like that, just to get him going, man. And he had some really good comeback. I like messing with them on Sundays.
He gave us a safety net that we could always go home. Regardless of the issues, you know, we could always go home, so.
You know, going fishing in the White Mountains was just bliss, you know. That was it. That was a piece of heaven for us, for all of us, you know. Getting away for a week from the heat, from the chores at home, and honestly, having my dad somewhere where he could just relax and not worry about work, you know. My dad took the time to just be with us, whether it was us individually or together with us as a family, you know.
We all found out going fishing isn't really a vacation for the parents. It's a vacation for the kids, because there's so much work that needs still to be done when you get there. You gotta level out the trailer, you gotta charge the batteries, you gotta keep the tanks full. You know, you gotta take the kids fishing, you gotta gut the fish, you gotta do all these things day in and day out. I think that's what he left for me, was just that work ethic.
He may be grumpy one day or grouchy or not really in a talking mood, and then there's days that he would just talk your ears off about, you know, being a truck driver, his work, being in the union, working the fields, growing up, being in the Army. All his stories, you know, just listening to him talk, just his presence, I'm gonna miss. I have his Teamsters jacket that he gave me, and every morning I get it and I put it on and he's hugging me.
You know, honestly, what I'm gonna miss the most is his presence in my life, at least physically. You know, sometimes it's very difficult to live in the world. Things happen to the point where you know you can't do it by yourself. And you need the help of others. My dad and my mom are my rock. And with their presence in my life, I knew that that despite whatever happened in my life, that I knew I was going to be okay. Because I had them there. I had them there to turn to and to fall back on. And I still have that portion of my rock that's my mom, you know. But I'm gonna miss that certain security of knowing that I have my dad in this world to turn to. Yeah, half of my rock is gone. But I'm still happy and blessed to have the half of the rock that I do have in my life.
I would remember all the times we'd go down there on Sunday, and one day as I'm leaving, I said, Chuck, I go, do you remember all those Sundays we used to come over here and spend all day? He goes, yeah. I go, I'm really sorry about that. I know how that feels now. He'd get a chuckle out of it and say, no, it was all a pleasure. So I will definitely miss just him being around, being able to talk to and listen to his stories. I miss you.
He knew he was my guy. He was my best friend. As long as he knew I was proud that he was my pops and I was his son. That's it. I'm good. Pops always said, never let him see you cry. I got him.
You know, Dad, I'm really happy and I'm thankful for everything you've done for Barb, Bianca, Cassie, and Nicole, and me. Everything.
What I remember about Tata was the fact that he was a family man. His family was very important. He drove a truck for about 40 years, and he made sure that his children had all the necessities. And I remember that we all used to go to church every Sunday together as a family. After work, he would go and coach. He coached baseball for about 10 years. And then on vacation, we would go fishing, all of us together. And we would say that if whoever caught the biggest fish, you know, we get a prize, things like that. It was a lot of fun going fishing. When we went to a party or we went dancing, we did a mean jitterbug. I would say, I love you. He would say, I love you more. And we were together for 65 years. So it was a good, wonderful experience for both of us and the whole family.